Dubious ones, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about the online features and what we can expect from all the online from Ultra Pro Wrestling. I don't know how many of you are familiar with some of the Q&As that have happened with the developer Sam Vallely over the past, but I myself have kept up quite in depth with all of them. I know some things that maybe you don't know, as well as I'd like to include some of the things I personally would like to see from the online from this game. So first of all, we're going to start with what we know so far of what they're aiming to do, what they would like to do with this game, and then we're going to go into some of my hopes and my wish list of things that I would like to see implemented and hope to see there. So first off, if you're not aware, this is a very ambitious game and it has a lot of masters it's trying to serve. So first off, for the online, there is going to be a community creations, so that if you find, whether they have an image uploader or not, they would like to have one, but even if they don't, they're going to have, for your creator wrestler, they're going to have pixel like editing, like an in-game editing software, so that you can alter designs and create designs within the game itself, even if at launch they don't have an image uploader, which they do plan on having and they would like to have. But either way, if you're not well versed in, say, the creation aspect of the game, but somebody else is, and say they make a perfect Rob Van Dam or a Bret Hart or a Stone Cold Steve Austin, an Undertaker, a Roman Reigns, an MJF, Kenny Omega, they can then go and upload those creations for you to download into your game, which is awesome. Community creations, super important for a game like this. The idea behind it was they're not going to have real in-game wrestlers. We've now seen they will have DLC coming, but the main base roster of 100 characters are going to be fictionally created characters, but in their storylines, in the through the 80s and the 90s storyline and the 2000s that you'll get over time, they are going to represent actual in-game, or actual real-world wrestlers, be it a Ric Flair, a Steve Austin, an Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan. Wherever you're going through the 80s, through the 90s, 2000s, there will be in-game wrestlers that represent those characters, so that you can have an Andre Hulk Hogan storyline from WrestleMania 3 in your 80s storyline, or you can have a Ric Flair feud with, I don't know, Dusty Rhodes or whoever he was feuding with in the 80s. You'll get those storylines, and that is amazing. But with the community creations, you're going to be able to download your perfect version of a Ric Flair or a Hulk Hogan or an Andre the Giant to then put in over top of those characters if you wish, so that you have a proper representation, if you want real world representation, for these storylines. Or, because the characters to me look so cool that Hal Haney's created, you can just leave it as, as the fictional characters that they are, that we already see. But for the online portion of the game, outside of community creations, which is a big part of it, they'll also have a weekly streamed, I believe, it would be like your AEW Dynamite every Wednesday, or your Monday Night Raw, or your Friday Night SmackDown. They're going to have a weekly stream that they're going to do showing off the game, obviously, but they're going to have online titles. This is what they've said. This is what they've stated. This is their hopes, is to have an online title, and their goal is to have crossplay. Now, if crossplay isn't feasible or doesn't work out, they don't know the specifics yet. They would like to have crossplay. That's their goal. But if they don't have crossplay, then they'll have something like an Xbox champion, a PlayStation champion, a Nintendo Switch champion, a Steam champion, etc., etc. But if they are able to get the crossplay, then they can go with a world title, a US title, an international title, whatever. But either way, they're going to have a number of titles that are going to be defended every week on the show. So every week they're going to have a live stream, and if you are the champion, say you won on, say it's a Tuesday night at, say, 7 p.m. Eastern, for argument's sake, just throwing out a random day and a time there. There's no official dates or times or anything. But say it's 7 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday night. So every Tuesday, you could tune into the stream, and whoever the champion is going to defend their title against the number one contender. And they're going to have online tournaments or online whatever to get to pick their number one contenders for everything, whether it's, say, you're fighting for the Xbox title or the PlayStation title, or if they're able to get crossplay, then you get the UPW online championship. Maybe there's just one, maybe there's a handful of them. But either way, every week it's going to get defended, and if you're the champion and you're unable to defend on a certain week because life happens, maybe you have to work, family, whatever else, then you'll vacate the title, and then there will be two contenders, whatever, they'll fight for it. And then when you're able to come back, say if the following week you are free, you can come back and then you can fight again for that title. Now, to me, this sounds super ambitious, super amazing. I'm hoping the online has great connections, because if you have someone from, because they also talked about regions, if they're able to get crossplay and everything, and even if they're not, they might have to break it up into, they have a UK side of champions or a Europe side of champions, they have a North America, they have an Asia, whatever it might be, just because if the connections aren't that great, and say you're playing against a guy in China and you live in the United States, or you're playing against a guy in Australia and you live in Canada or somewhere else and the connections aren't great, then they might split them up into territories, which also makes sense. But either way, their plan is to literally have titles defended every week on a weekly stream of the game. And I think that is so revolutionary and something that I'm so shocked has never been done before, and never really been attempted before. I think that is such good PR for the game, free publicity. Like everybody watches streaming and stuff as it is. If a game that you love, like Ultra Pro Wrestling, if they have a show every week that you know is going to have like title defenses and people are actually playing online and we'll be able to watch those matches as they're happening, and maybe they'll have commentary, people coming in for guest commentary, stuff like that. That portion I don't know, but just the idea of having a weekly show of matches and there's going to be titles defended and it's going to be the community playing in these matches is so neat to me. That's so neat, so cool, and I just think is like the greatest thing I've ever heard for online for a wrestling game ever. Like having a literal internet champion. You saw Zack Ryder or his non WWE name, or Matt Cardona, but you literally have an internet champion, and maybe you have a Canadian champion, maybe you have a US champion, or it's like I said, an Xbox champion, a PlayStation champion. Either way, you're going to have every week titles defended against real people, and you're going to have to defend that title, and you're going to have number one contenders matches and this stuff going on every week, and that will keep players' engagement for the long term. I think that is something that is so, like, I'm so excited for this, and I hope it goes down and it works smoothly and it goes down well, because this to me is an online player who mainly plays most video games I play for the online. I like to play against other people. This to me is just like the greatest thing I've ever heard, especially for a wrestling game. Like, so cool. I wish like the UFC would do this. I wish WWE games would do this. I wish AEW would do this. Like, this would be such a great way to get your community involved and get them playing your game every week. At least once a week you're booting up because you want to get in these number one contenders matches, or you want to get to say that you're the Ultra Pro Wrestling World Champion of the world, or of all of Xbox, or of all of PlayStation, or whatever. It's, to me, so great. So very optimistic and very hopeful that goes well. As on top of that, they're also going to have, for theme musics in the game, going back to the community creation side, they're going to have an in-game MIDI editor so that you can make like your 8-bit or your MIDI versions of songs without the lyrics. You can make the MIDI versions of an MJF theme, an Undertaker theme, Steve Austin, etc., etc. You can make your own in-game themes and upload them to community creations so other people are able to download them, which is so very cool and so refreshing that you'll be able to have license-free, copyright-free music in the game. And if they're able to implement their community creations, they'd like to have you be able to use your own. Because I think Fire Pro, I believe the Fire Pro wrestling game, if you play it on PC anyways, you can actually take your own music and apply it to wrestlers' entrances. So you can already have in-game music. Like if you have the theme song downloaded or cut or whatever, you can have it play for their entrance. They would like to do that. They just don't know how the implementation will roll out. So, and they've also talked about, like, people have suggested, implementing a Spotify playlist integration, things like that. So these are all things that are on the table. But what is 100% that they've said is they want an in-game MIDI editor so that you can edit your favorite wrestler songs together. And if you're not good at editing music, someone else out there might be, and they can do it, and you can just download it from Community Creations. Again, so key, so important. Community Creations is going to be the lifeblood of this game. And as far as the online goes, we haven't heard too much about whether ranked, unranked, whether the season mode would somehow maybe be multiplayer playable online. Probably not. But like, there's a lot of things that they haven't talked about. What they have told us is that they want this weekly stream and this weekly show to feel like a Dynamite, a Raw that you tune into every week on Twitch, on YouTube, wherever they're going to stream it. And you can literally play and be a part of it and interact in the game. And like, that's super cool to me. Now, what I personally, going on to what I would like to see as an online player, is I would like to see proper leaderboards. AEW Fight Forever had tried it. There's obviously exploits, and you see guys with like 1 million points at number 1, and then you have number 10 with like 1,000 points. You know what I mean? Like, they have to be updating it and obviously stopping people from being able to cheese it in whatever way. But I would love to see leaderboards. Leaderboards to me in an online game are important. You see your rank go up. I think a proper ranking system to me would mean a lot. Like having your, like, AEW implemented it somewhat well. It's just that there was obviously some ways to exploit it. And because the game did not deal with patching abilities and really balancing the game in any way, shape, or form since we've had it launch, it kind of went out the window, and now no one plays. But if we do have a consistent player base that's playing every week, playing on these weekly shows, I would love to see an online leaderboard that's properly representing. And as far as their ranking system for people getting that number 1 contender shot for, whether it be the Xbox title, the PlayStation title, or the world title, if they're able to do crossplay, and territories if they do a US, a Canada, or whatever, North America and Asia, Europe. Like, if they do those titles, having those number 1 contenderships and those matches that you can go through to rise up the leaderboards doesn't necessarily have to be through ranked only. They can do fun matches and stuff, and maybe do like a battle royal out of the top 20 players on Xbox or whatever. I would like to see stuff like that to get up to that title level. I would love to see in-game, you have tournaments, King of the Ring style, or you have, ways, because especially if there's thousands of players playing, how do you get to that number 1 contender spot? Well, to me, a ranking system is right there. It's right there for you. You have a ranking system, and then you can pick anyone out of the top 10 or 20 or 30, throw them in a battle royal. Winner of that gets the number 1 contender spot. There's a lot of things I think they could do with this, and that I would love to see. But for me, leaderboards, very important. A proper networking, whether it's, like, I don't know if they're going to go peer-to-peer like AEW does. Like, the connections in AEW, when you are able to find a match, aren't that bad. So peer-to-peer isn't terrible for that game. But dedicated servers, to me, are always the way to go. For a company this small, for a game this small, I don't know if that's feasible. But either way, online, to me, is very important. I hope there's special guest referee matches. So if you're a streamer like I am, or a YouTuber like I am, and you want to play with the community, you can watch the match while they're having it and still interact with your community while through like a special guest referee kind of match. I would just like more ways to be able to interact with your community online while playing matches, where AEW really lacks that. All you can really do is have like a 4-way. You can't even have a tornado tag. I think certain things like that, I think, are a must. Like match types online, like a tornado tag, a Royal Rumble, or a Battle Royal with, 30 people online. Like being able to have 30 different wrestlers in a battle royal, that would be amazing. 30 different wrestlers, each person's randomly drawn. You figure out your number and you're in. Like that would be cool to me. Um, and just man, just like the online for a lot of these wrestling games. If you played the 2K series, if you've played Fire Pro, if you've played just a number of wrestling games over the last 5 to 10 years, the online has been really neglected. I feel like the connections have been terrible in the 2K series. I feel like Fight Forever had pretty decent connections, but they, they just never balanced anything. So the creative wrestlers with all the broken abilities just ruined everything with leg sweep, unyielding poise. Anyways, I don't want to turn this into a what AEW needs to fix. I'm hoping for this game that they're quick to balance things, they're quick to patch things that are really abusable and ruin the online game. I hope that not only do we get the leaderboards, but all the match types online. Like every match type that's available in game, I'd like to be able to play online. I hope there's lots of different on multi-man matches, like different ways to play with 4 or more players online at a time. That would be amazing. And then really simply, like a really simple one that it's been since, for me, I feel like WWE 12 or 13. Like one of the last few wrestling games I remember being able to search for a match, but also do other stuff in the game. In some of the later WWE games, but way like before the 2K series, maybe 2K14 had it. When you would search for a match, you'd be in a training mode, and you'd just be against a CPU, just doing moves and like whatever until the match was actually found, and you were able to find one if you were searching whether it was a non-ranked match or a ranked match, like a casual or a ranked match. You would be doing something in the background. What they had in games before that was you could literally play the game anywhere in the game. You could be editing a wrestler, you could be playing the single player campaign, you could be having matches, changing, doing stuff in the options menu. It didn't matter. You would just be searching for a match in the background, like Street Fighter does, like Street Fighter 6 has. You can search for a match in the background while doing other stuff, and when you find a match, it lets you know, hey, match has been found, here's the connection type, do you want to accept it? To me, what Street Fighter 6 has, perfect. Exactly what I want to see. I want to be able to play the game, whether I'm in a training mode, whether I'm in the creator wrestler, whether I'm in the campaign, and then just have it have an autosave. So if I accept the match, it'll save me from my last save point and save whatever progress I've made. Or same thing with a created wrestler, it'll automatically just save from where I am. And then it'll jump me into the online match, be it ranked or unranked or whatever. But I think it's super key and super important to not be stuck on a loading screen. Whereas in AEW Fight Forever, you look for an online match, you're searching, you just sit there staring at a searching thing, and then eventually it tells you it can't find anybody. Do you want to be the host? So you host, and you sit there, and it circles, and it doesn't find anybody, and it's like, it couldn't find anyone. No. If I'm looking for an online match, and this is why I never played Fire Pro online, because I could never find a match, but I didn't want to just sit at a screen with a circle going around for 20 minutes, half an hour while I'm trying to find a match. If you can play the game like normal, editing wrestlers, doing anything else in the game, and it searches in the background, I think that'll be much healthier for the player pool, because that way, if you want to play a match online, you queue into the search, find any match that's going, or a one-on-one match, or whatever you're looking for. You can set your parameters, and it'll just search for that in the background, and then you can just go to town, editing wrestlers, playing the game how you want, do whatever, and when it finds the match, you're like, great, yeah, I'm ready to play the match, I'll take that, perfect. I think that is super key and something that has been lost in wrestling games for nearly 10 years now. We haven't had that, and I think we need it back. I don't know development-wise what that entails to be able to play the game and queue in the background, but I don't know why we had it over 10 years ago and we don't have it anymore. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I really, really, really hope for this game. That's probably my number one thing for the online, outside of the stuff they've already promised that I'm looking forward to, is being able to just search for a match in the background. You can specify, I want a 4-way tables match or a 3-way ladder match. and it can search for 2 hours. If you never find it, you can change your search parameters, but then you can just play the game. And if somebody happens to be looking for that one match type, then you fill the lobby and then you can find it. The problem with things like AEW Fight Forever, when you're searching for a match, it's hard enough just to find a 1v1 regular ranked or unranked match. Trying to find a barbed wire death match, or a ladder match, or a 4-way no disqualification, or a 4-way lights out match, you're so much less likely to find that, whereas there should be a quick search tool that says search for the first available match. So it'll just pop you into whatever's trying to populate a match. Or you can put in your search parameters, but either way, allow it to search in the background while you're still playing the game. That's probably my number one ask. What do you guys think? I can't really think of anything else other than your ranked and casual modes and leaderboards. Those are probably my biggest things that I look forward to online. Obviously, the community creations, biggest thing. They know that. They're putting that in. So outside of the stuff that's already been promised to us or that they're hoping to implement in the game, I'd say my biggest thing is just being able to search that match in the background. How about you guys? Let me know in the comments down below. It's a little bit of a quick one today. I know. I say quick one. It's been over 20 minutes. But you know how I get with these games. I get very excited. I'm very, very much anticipating this game. Kickstarter supporter. Can't wait for this game to come out. Can't wait to try out the demo. And I pray to the beautiful people at Hyperfocus Games, take the time you need to make this game right. It needs to launch properly. We can't have a launch like Fight Forever. If you have to push back the release date of this game to make sure the story is perfect, the animations are smooth, the gameplay feels good, and we have enough content at launch, to sink our teeth into. Like, just make sure it comes out right out of the gate, because your first impression is your biggest thing. Right now, AEW Fight Forever could do anything, and I don't think you're getting back over 50, 60, 70% of the player base. I don't think there's any change that AEW at this point can make, because the player base has fallen so far off that'll make them all come back. You could get a new set of player base if you put it on Game Pass, put in crossplay, do things like that. But to really get back your player base after a flop of a launch is so much harder. So I'd rather we took an extra 6 months or a year for this game, the full version, to come out. But to make sure that it's polished and ready for us, I'd much rather see that than see the game get rushed, features cut, and have it not ready at launch. Say, like, we don't have community creations at launch, or we don't have whatever it is. I don't want to see that. I want to see this game succeed. Very hopeful. Sam Vallely and the folks at Hyperfocus Games are very passionate about this, so this is why I really look forward to this, and I'm very optimistic about it. And Hal Haney, as you can see, his beautiful characters here, he's done an incredible job. And the guys at Hyperfocus Games, if you're not aware, every one of these characters that Hal Haney has created have been created in the same creator-wrestler editor that we're going to use. So every little bit of in-game aspects, whether it's the knee pads, the boots, the singlet, the hairstyle, the face, every part of that on any character, like, Brutalagore, can be used when you're creating a wrestler or when you're editing a wrestler. You can put Fireheart's tights on Blue Collar Bill Dollar, and you can change the colors, the everything. So every one of these characters has been made and created in the game with the in-game creator wrestler. So I'm very hopeful on the customizability that this game's going to have, and I really look forward to what we see coming in the future. But I will definitely go into a deep dive on the creator wrestler at a later date. Would like to get a little bit more information than we have now. But I hope this video finds you well. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And I hope you guys are looking forward to Ultra Pro Wrestling as much as I am, because I really, really have very high hopes for this game. Anyways, dubious ones, that's it for this one. Please feel free, leave me a like, comment down below the features you would like to see in their online mode, because I want to know your perspective as an online player myself. What's important to you in the online aspect of a wrestling game that'll keep you playing and that will keep you interested. Please comment down below. Again, like, subscribe. All the best. We'll catch you guys next time. And I'm out for now. Dubious ones, take care.